Bow with me, please. Our most gracious and kind Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, Lord. I ask that you continue to look over those who are sick, Lord, and help them with their physical and mental struggles, Lord, and their families. Give them comfort that only you can do with what they're dealing with, Lord. I pray for the families who have lost loved ones, Lord, or military. I ask that you put your protected arms around them, keep them out of harm's way, and bring them back safely, or all of our first responders, Lord. Please do the same with them. Lord, I pray that you lead, guide, and direct this nation, this state, and our local government in all we do, and may all the decisions we make give glory to you. I ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call Marsh County Fiscal Court to order September 21st, 2021. First on the agenda under guests. Good morning, Leonard.
Good morning. How y'all doing today?
Good.
For those of you who may not have been here before, I'm Leonard Hart. I'm coordinator for the Marsh County Veterans Van. The month of August, we made 24 trips to, with veterans to, we had 2 trips to Nashville, 7 trips to Marion, and 15 local trips. This month, I've already scheduled 23 trips, so we're doing pretty good. We've got 2 vans. We've got a little van and a big van. Sometimes we're having to run 2 of them in one day because we got maybe more than 1 veteran. Right now, we're at a mandate we can only carry 1 person at a time because of the VA and the COVID. The month of August, we logged a little over 100 hours of driving and 2,489 miles in trips. I haven't got this month's laid out yet, but we go to Marion, Illinois VA, Paducah VA, Mayfield VA, Baptist Health, Mercy Health, and to there's a dialysis place over at Catawba that we've been taking a gentleman over there twice a week for kidney dialysis. So we're staying busy. I've got 10 drivers and we're all pretty well busy. I'd like to, starting next year, meet quarterly, January, April, July, and October. And January, I would do a yearly report of the last year. I'll give you a full year's report of how many miles we drove, how many hours we spent, and how many people we took. That'd be pleasing. I talked to Roy, I've talked to you, and I've talked to Chris about we're supposed to be getting our building next month of extending the parking area in the back a couple feet. The building we bought is 12 by 20. That's the only size that they sell. I can have it cut down or we can extend. They give us 3 spots back there to park in. One and a half spot for the shed, and then the other spot and a half for the big van to park on. I'll give Roy a copy of what proposed to do and maybe putting some gravel in behind there. Get you and Roy and Chris can all hash that out. That's really all I have for this month. Anybody got any questions?
All right. Appreciate it, Leonard.
Okay.
Appreciate Joe.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
We'll see you in January then.
All right. Next is Tammy Blackwell, Marsh County Library.
should have our little brag sheet. Does anybody out here want one? So, it would have been very easy if things had stayed the same for me to have come up here and had lots of big numbers to brag about. Because where we were before COVID, we were pretty much cruising. We knew what we were doing. We were getting people in. We were having huge programs. I wouldn't have had to put in any effort as a new director to keep giving you big numbers. Unfortunately, that's not how life happened. And what I can tell you is we have learned so much over the last 18 months about our community, about new ways to help them, and we have started so many innovative new things. And I wish I could sit here and take credit for all of it, but all I did was say, hey, yeah, that sounds good, why don't you give it a try? The staff has really stepped up and really responded to what has happened over the last 18 months. During the times when we were mandated to step back to curbside service, only have 50% of our staff in the building, our staff was like, what can we do to help out? And so they were taking home telephones from the library, plugging them into their internet, and not only answering the calls that were coming into the library, helping people figure out their digital devices, helping them pick out books to pick up for curbside, but they were making calls to patrons to check on them. Those people that we have seen, constantly that now we weren't able to, get our eyes on, make sure they're doing okay. They were making those phone calls. They were still really connecting with our community, and I'm super proud of that. One of the things that we started was take-home kits. Because we couldn't have kids and families come in for programming, we started bundling up stuff and sending it home. And we did a lot for kids, and it would just be like little crafts and stuff. But what I'm really proud of is we did these family kits with the whole purpose being trying to get the family to do things together. Like there was a grilling kit because we want them to sit down and have a meal together and talk. And that may seem a little outside of a library's, scope. But what studies show is families that do that, families that sit down and have meals together, families that engage in activities together, those children have higher vocabularies, they do better on reading, and therefore they do better academically throughout their academic career. And so we really want to push that, families being together and, the kids learning from that. So we were able to give away around 2,500 take-home kits over the past year. One thing that we were noticing was that parents were kind of, even when they could come in the library, they were kind of trying to be quick about it because they weren't comfortable being inside of a building. And so one of our children's librarians was like, if they'll just tell me what their kid likes, I can pick out books for them and all they have to do is just grab the books then. So now we have this form on our website, and you go in and you tell us about your child, how old they are, what their reading level is, what their interests are. And our children's librarians go and they put together a bundle of books that those kids are going to enjoy. And that takes a lot of pressure off of families, and it also helps families that maybe, they have soccer, they have dance, they have everything else. And so that's really moving things along really great. As of this week, we have 5 hotspot laptop kits that people can check out and 50 individual hotspots. That's going to be really, really helpful if we do have to go to NTI and those families that do not have internet in their home. We all also know that there are sections of Marshall County where high-speed internet is not readily available. These are available to those people as well. They're also available, like, if you're going to the lake for the weekend and you need some Wi-Fi. I took a hotspot with me On my last vacation, it was really nice that my children were not trying to kill each other in the back seat anymore. They were instead watching Netflix. So there's lots of possibilities for these hotspots, but really, we're hoping that kids who have to do NTI, kids who maybe are asked to quarantine for 2 weeks from school and don't have reliable internet, that this will really help them out. And we are dividing those between the 3 branches, so no matter where you are in Marshall County, one will be readily available. Our makerspace, I'm not gonna lie, I was not a part of that process of planning the makerspace, so when I first saw it, I was like, okay, but who's gonna use this? It is being used constantly, and I'm like, my brain does not work that way, but I am so excited by everything that I'm seeing. We have business people coming in and making things for their business. We have just crafters coming in and doing stuff. People are learning new equipment, getting new skills, and it's almost constant that Nick is training somebody new on equipment. And I've brought some pieces to show you guys because my mind is blown by what we're able to do. So this is our Makerspace logo that they cut onto some metal, and it's got this 3M back so you can stick it on something. This is our Makerspace logo that they did on the vinyl, and now we could stick it on a door or a piece of equipment. This is from the 3D printer, and I know like from here it doesn't look super impressive, but when you see how precise and tight those lines are, it's a really good 3D printer. People use those a lot for prototypes, but we also see people using them for like something broke on their door and they can't get that piece, but they can design that piece pretty easily and then just print it out and fix it. So that's really cool. And then these are some done on the laser. This is a portrait. I didn't even know that that was possible. That's really cool, in my opinion. Here's our logo that we could hang on the wall. And then what has been super duper popular is we take cutting boards, and you can bring us a recipe written in the handwriting of your mother, grandmother, whomever, and we engrave it in their handwriting. This was a program we did last year right before Christmas, and people used that for Christmas presents. But we're going to do that again this year. I think it's really good, not just for the sentimental purpose of a gift, but this is preserving our culture. Food is culture, even our handwriting. I can tell women of my grandmother's age because of their handwriting. It all looks the same. So I think these are really, really fantastic. I'm really proud of that makerspace. In the past year, we have updated our strategic plan. It was supposed to be done in 2020, but that was a little hard. So we got that done in 2021. We worked with Monica Belock out of Paducah. She worked in small groups with all of our staff members on she did different sections, and we come up with a great strategic plan, and I included our vision statement here. And we're looking at making things more accessible for Marshall County. So we're really looking at outreach over the next 5 years, getting outside the buildings and reaching those people who don't necessarily come in. Working with the school systems, working with our elder centers, working with just whomever we can to bring library services outside of the building. And then digital checkouts, not surprisingly, have really increased over the past year. So in the past year, we checked out over 35,000 ebooks and almost 22,000 digital audio books. So we're really proud of that. And then I have our some dollar amounts, grants. The state completely cut out the general grant that they gave every Kentucky library in the past 2 years. We don't receive that anymore, so all of this is from legwork of actually going out there and filling out grant applications. Our E-rate funding, Wes does an amazing job with that, and that's the reason we have the best technology of any library in Kentucky, I feel. And then our property tax and personal property tax rates are on there. That is the compensating rate. So there's no need for you guys to do anything on that. Any questions?
Gosh, that's a lot.
We
Holy cow.
try.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say I appreciate you guys. Again, I know I've said it probably every year you've come, or before you, Christy, came, but if you don't use the library, you don't maybe have an appreciation for what you all do. And I know as having a couple of kids that truly enjoys our library in Calvert City, it's a big plus for our community. I mean, I see this letter. It's kind of hard
Yeah, it's
to
kind of
read,
small. It looked bigger on my screen.
but it's a great example of someone moving from another area, and it's key to those folks. You know, it's not always just about having a bowling alley or skating rink or something like that. It's this kind of stuff that is important to people also. So I appreciate you.
I will say one thing I did recently because I was curious. I took the average real estate property amount for Marshall County, figured out how much you would pay for the average property in Marshall County in library taxes and how long it would take you to earn that back. And it's checking out 3 James Patterson books. So just using your library, the return on investment is so high, especially if you're using it on a regular basis. You really, it's a good investment, I think, of our community funds. And we are very well aware that they're community funds. And that's why we're working so hard on that, getting outside the building, doing better outreach. We're starting a new program that's called Books by Mail. For people who maybe have trouble getting to the library for whatever reason. It could be for health reasons. It could be because their car simply isn't reliable, whatever. We will mail you books. We'll work with you to get a list of books that you would enjoy, mail them. There'll be a return label. You stick it in, send it back, and we'll just keep doing that, exchanging it so you don't have to make it in. Our bookmobile librarian, she's working really hard on some new programs. One of them is for businesses where the people may not be able to get to the library because of their work hours. She will do drops once a month and just come in and be like, okay, here's the books you guys asked to have checked out. I'll pick these up, and you don't even have to come in the library. If the courthouse is interested, just let me know, and she'll be happy to do that. You guys you tell her what you want checked out, and she brings it to you. You don't even have to swing by. So we're really working on getting out there and being available to everyone, not just those who can make it to the building.
Does anybody got any questions? Tammy, we appreciate your presence.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And always, anything you need, you just give us a call. We are ready to help. Congratulations.
Thank you.
He's beautiful.
Under correspondence, item A, August personnel changes.
August personnel changes, Brittany Wenzel, full-time treasurer's office, effective 8/3/21 at $13.81 per hour. Luke Fraley, full-time sheriff's deputy, effective 8/9/21 at $23.20 per hour. Robin Connor, full-time recreational coordinator, effective 8/17/21 at $12.14 per hour. Katie Malone, full-time dispatcher, effective 8/30/21 at $13.70 an hour. Sean Hamlet, road department wage increase from $19.57 to $20.74, effective 1/8/21. Cole Siebert, road department wage increase from $18.40 to $19.30, effective 8/1/21. Jason Neal, road department wage increase from $18.31 to $19.12, retro to 7/1/21.
Item B, and I'll just read this correspondence. This is pertaining to the sheriff's bond. This is from Christina Staples from the governor's, the APA, the state auditor's office. Judge Neal, during a tax settlement audit at the sheriff's office, we review the sheriff's county revenue bond to determine if the bond amount is enough to cover tax collections in the sheriff's possession on a certain date, which is usually the date he has collected the most amount of taxes. And for the 2020 tax year, the sheriff's county revenue bond was $10,000 while he was in possession of $14 million. As part of our testing procedures, we are required to notify the fiscal court that the bond amount does not provide adequate protection for amount of taxes collected. So could you please sign and date the attached document and return by email documenting that you are aware of the shortfall on the Sheriff's County revenue bond? Now, reading their test, their purpose, and I'll just cite this, to determine if sheriff is properly bonded. The conclusion of their test, based on the work performed, the sheriff is properly bonded, but the bond amount does not cover all of the bank balances as of high balance date. So that's the reason for the correspondence. So if I can just get the court to acknowledge or make a motion that they have received this correspondence, and then I will sign it and send it back to Christina.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. 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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Old business, approve the minutes, September 7th meeting and September 9th and September 17th special call meetings.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item B, ordinance 2021-06, speed limit flyaway, second reading. Speed limit ordinance, be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of Marsh County, Commonwealth of Kentucky, in accordance with the provisions set forth in KRS 189-395A, and based upon the request of affected citizens and after review by the Marsh County Road Superintendent, Marsh County Sheriff, the Marsh County Fiscal Court does hereby set the speed limit at 15 miles per hour for Flyaway Drive located in Marsh County, Kentucky. In Kentucky. The foregoing ordinance shall be published in the Tribune Carrier, which it was, or that'll be on the next Friday, next Tuesday. First reading was on September 7th, and second reading is today. We just need a
Move we approve.
Second.
all those in favor say aye. 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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Under new business, board appointments. I'm sorry. Let me go back to old business. Item C. We discussed this in our special call meeting, but we've got it on for old business for Miracle League bids. These were presented to us Friday, and I know Brittany's out of town, and we heard, I think the court got the all the documents submitted by CMS. Is there any discussion from what we discussed on Friday?
So based on what we have right now, we're good to cover, I mean, right at it, but the bid, the pinnacle bid of, if I have this right, 544, 858. Y'all, anybody? Does that sound right to y'all?
Yeah, and that's with the recommended or suggested alternates.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, with those alternates, I think it's 544, 858.
Yeah. And I think,
But then we just received the
yes, $47,000,
72,000.
or was it 72,000?
The entire, you talking about the,
CMS?
yeah. Well, I don't know if all of it is CMS, but he had 4 or 5 different things on there. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I just saw the 47,000. I must have missed the addition.
Oh, wait, now the 47,000 is a sign. Is that what you're talking about? Or
No, that was,
You talking about that? CMS?
That was a
additional?
bill from CMS. But you're talking about the combination of? And that's in addition to the
Yeah, here it is.
540.
I don't know what the 47,000 is, but the total, I'm talking about this document. Is that what you're talking about, or are you talking about something different?
Brittany had said there was a bill for 47,000.
Oh. Surely that's within this total. You think that's within the A&E fees? I would think that 47 is not on top of that. do
She
you?
she was referring to this, but she
Okay.
stated the sign
47.
amount 47.
Okay.
47
Okay.
But
is the
72.
percentage, right?
Yeah.
72.
Okay. Okay. Just making sure.
47 is the percentage? of-
No. It's just the wrong amount. 72, if you remember what he talked about the other day, he said now there's some fees that aren't in there, and he would send those, and those he sent, and it's 72,255.18.
That's the A&E fees, the civil engineering survey services, special inspection and testing,
He's not here today.
advertisements, building permit, review and printing, for a total of 72,255. So that's in addition. Now, if we talk about just the amount for the bids, because this would be separate, and we do have monies to cover that 72. But I think with the recommendations that Brittany had presented, puts us below what we do have in the foundation account.
Yeah.
So it would cover it.
So there's monies to cover the 72?
Well,
Additionally?
one question that I had, well, not really that I had, but Brittany had, and it's a good question, is if we're going to go with a reduced construction amount, shouldn't that also change the A&E fees? See, I'm thinking that the 72,000 is based on the full project. So if we're taking out significant portions of the whole project, I think that 72 number needs to come down too. That was her question to me yesterday.
Possibly, but but let's assume that within that A&E fee is all of the work that he's done to this date, though. I don't know that have we paid him for anything that he's done so far?
I wouldn't be able to see anything paid out of the Park Foundation account, but I can look and see if we can pay them out of.
You know what I'm saying? So I can see, I agree with you, but architecturally, he's performed quite a bit of that already. You know what I mean?
That's an unanswered question.
Yeah. Well, we can at least make the assumption that this 72 is the maximum, but hopefully, at least. I guess if we're comfortable with the 72, we know that there's a possibility that it'll be less. I also wondered on our own, we talked about it, I think, the other day, our costs. Our 187 could potentially be smaller also because of the limited scope. Assuming that we didn't have, in any of our opinion of cost, a 36% increase from the opinion of cost to the actual bid, which was the difference that
Nothing has been.
You know what
paid
I'm
out of-
saying?
Nothing has been paid out of that Miracle League expense line in our
Okay.
budget yet, so I'm gonna assume she hasn't paid it somewhere else.
Okay.
I don't know that it would be able to be paid from somewhere else, so my
Right.
answer is gonna be no, she hasn't paid anything out of our budget
Okay.
for any of that yet.
So I understand, that it could be less, but my guess is a lot of the work was in the initial piece of it. Because of this 72 total, 62 of it are the A&E fees. So like the inspections and testing and all that stuff, I'm sure that's probably all going to be right around the same.
Yeah, and if you look at the opinion of cost, what they have projected for the cost for the scoreboard, that's being donated, so
Yeah.
that's an amount that's going to be reduced.
Yeah, but that was already reduced off of it. The 187 that we budgeted was taking that 35 out. I'm saying I think there might be, some other small, because of our scope is a little smaller, that that 187 actually may be a little bit smaller, but I don't think it's going to be much, because the stuff that is ours, we're going to have quite a bit.
Material costs.
Right. Yeah, so whatever we might have saved because of the scope, we probably will be made up by the increase from December
Yeah.
to when we need it. We're probably at best a wash.
I definitely think we need to reach out to the architect and ask the question about that, because I don't think that amount should be what we're seeing on here by the changes we're making.
Well, I don't know though, because if you look at the date that he has on this document, it's September the 20th. After what I would actually assume that based on what we talked about the other day, he may have done this bill based on those alternatives. I mean, we don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to assume that this, now that I sit here and look at the date on this document, I mean, not that we voted the other day to do all those alternatives, but I think it was pretty obvious that we weren't going to be able to do anything but that. So it wouldn't surprise me if this is the number, even based on taking those alternatives out. Does that make sense? So you're saying we do have the, I say we,
And I would
Go
say
ahead.
that since really there are two different accounts, it would be dealing with basically two different actions,
okay,
in my opinion. The bids being coming out of the foundation account, and then the actual CMS cost. We would have to identify the account for those monies to come out of, if that's what the court were to want to move on.
well, if you say we have them, tell me where. I'll take your,
Well, we've got what I call the original investment dollars that we originally started with. We got monies there.
okay. Well, then I will,
Nope. I just need to make notes so that I add it
Okay.
to the transfers today, if that's what y'all decide to do.
well, then I make the motion that we accept the Pinnacle bid of base plus sign minus alt. Let's get this right. 3, 4, 6, and 7 for a total of $544,858 to come out of the Park Foundation Board account.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
And then I move that we approve the up to the 72,255.18 bill for CMS for the A&E fees plus survey inspections, et cetera. With the knowledge that we're going to check back with him to make sure that those A&E fees are accurate. So up to 72,255.18 out of the
Edward Jones
original
investment account.
Yes, Edward Jones investment account.
Second.
Second. All those in
Get it
favor
all
say
written
aye.
down.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll get with CMS to confirm that. All right. Now we'll go to new business. Item A. We've got a vacancy, unexpired term. This is going to be on the Possum Trot Fire Department. This is a unexpired term. The term will end June 30th of 2022. And my appointment will be Ron Crowell to fill that vacancy. Term to expire June 30th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item B, Parks Department surplus.
You guys probably saw the list of items, various items for the Parks Department. We just standard declaring it surplus, and then we can put it on Gov Deals or wherever we feel fit to sell those items.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item C, deferred comp resolution. Resolution of governing body, Marsh County Fiscal Court, whereas the General Assembly of the Commonwealth of Kentucky has enacted sections 18A 230, 18A 275 of the Kentucky Revised Statutes authorizing the creation of the Kentucky Public Employees Deferred Compensation Authority, Board of Trustees, the Board, and the establishment of the Kentucky Public Employees Deferred Compensation Authority, the Authority. And whereas the Commonwealth of the Authority sponsors the Kentucky Employees 457 Deferred Compensation Plan and the Kentucky Public Employees 401k Deferred Compensation Plan, the plans, for adoption by local governmental political subdivisions, and whereas governmental unit wishes to adopt and enter the certain joinder agreement attached hereto dated September 21st, 2021, now therefore be it resolved by the Marsh County Fiscal Court, Commonwealth of Kentucky hereby enters and adopts the joinder agreement with the authority for participation in the 457 plan, 401k plan, for the benefit of its eligible employees, and further resolved, the Judge Executive Kevin L. B. and hereby is authorized and directed by governmental unit to execute the joinder agreement with the authority, which agreement authorizes the authority to offer the plans to employees of governmental unit and thereafter to administer the plans on behalf of the governmental unit and its employees. We just need a motion to accept.
Move we approve the
or
resolution.
approve. There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item D, CFSB cash management agreement. Oh boy, do I gotta read this whole thing?
No.
So from what I understand, it has not changed on the county side. It changed
I-
on CFSB side from what
Right. I do not have the original documentation of when you all chose CFSB, when you moved from Heritage, but I've been instructed by the bank that this is not changing our agreement in any way. It's because of they've changed online platforms, and so they are required to update all of this information. And I read through the whole thing, it looks like the agreement that I know we have in practical use.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Jason reviewed it as well.
Yeah, I read through it too. Nothing stuck out to me. But I will say a caveat to that. There was a lot of accounting mumbo jumbo in
Right.
there that's more her.
Yeah. Move we approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Brad and I were just sitting here thinking off the top of our heads when we actually bid that out. I don't know why I'm thinking 5 years.
No, I think
I
we
can't remember.
did it. Well, maybe y'all did it before we.
Previous court.
I asked Jason, and it comes up in 22, June of 22, for either automatic renewal or whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess
Yeah.
maybe it was prior court.
I was
5
thinking
years.
16 or 17.
Yeah.
Prior to that, it was CFSB for years. And they changed it.
I bet it was 17, and it was
One
a
period,
5
there
year.
was one period in there where Heritage outbid CFSB.
Right. I bet it was 5 years.
It was with Heritage, yeah.
It's electronic
Okay.
signature anyway.
Yeah.
It's not paper signature. You log on and sign.
Sign your name. Okay. We'll move on to item E. Good morning. WK&T, I've asked Trevor, and he's brought Karen with him. But I've asked him to come to the court to give a presentation. You should have all the documents that we're supporting regarding the broadband initiative. So, do you mind, Trevor?
Well, thank you very much for allowing us to be here today. West Kentucky and Tennessee Telecommunications Cooperative does serve parts of Marshall County, and as the librarian mentioned earlier, there's homes within the county that do not have internet service. So when students are sent home or people are sent home to work, they have no connectivity other than potentially cell phones, and sometimes those cell phones don't work in certain areas too. We've been working with counties throughout Western Kentucky and Northwest Tennessee and Illinois in regards to expanding broadband with the funds that are being made available by state or federal funds that are out there. We've met with the judge and talked to him about this over the last probably year and a half about what's taking place in Marshall County and how we can partner together to resolve some of the issues of connectivity. And there's some opportunities that'll be coming before us in the near future. And one of the first things that we ask when we go to a county, we've done this in Callaway, we did it in Graves County, we asked for the county to sign an agreement that we're going to work together for the next 2 years to solve those 5,000 approximate homes that have homes of businesses that have no service within the county. Our intent is not to overbuild existing locations with your money and our money or state money. It's to make sure that those homes that aren't being served will be served. That's what our company was founded on over 70 years ago. We provide services to those who wouldn't receive those services if it wasn't for our cooperative. So we're here today to ask for you to enter into a partnership with us. In regards to that partnership is that we will need funds from the county. We'll need funds from state or federal to resolve these issues. Our board of directors is embracing the idea of expanding in Marshall County and providing more services. But that agreement basically says we're going to work together for the next 2 years to solve this problem. There's a lot of work that we do behind the scenes of writing grants, and participating in the process, especially when the state's just getting started in the broadband money that's coming available. So that's the first thing we ask, is that we enter into a partnership to do that. Let me explain the partnership a little bit, because when we talk about partnerships, it's not a financial partnership in regards to that we both own the network. The cooperative will own the network, which the cooperative is owned by the members. So for those 5,000 homes, we calculate that probably 40% of those homes will connect to begin with, and those people become members of the cooperative. And that's how the partnership works, is that you're enabling people to have services from the cooperative membership.
So just to add on to what Trevor's talking about too, there's monies right now on the grant that October 25th, I believe, is the deadline.
Yeah, October 25th, yes, sir.
So the one agreement that you'll see is we're basically committing, the court would commit $11,000 to work with WK&T, and then they would have their engineers go out and actually engineer the service area, or potential service area, I guess.
Yeah, so what takes place?
I'm sorry, 15,000,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I thought we were negotiating.
Yeah, wow. We good?
Yeah.
$4,000.
We can.
It's been nervous.
You should have let it fly. I had him. You see
Yeah, way to go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Y'all
Yeah.
had
When
to
we get
say
to the
it,
big
didn't you?
numbers, it's
Stole
going to get ugly
my-
quick.
Yeah.
Let me make sure that it's, because this is one thing that comes up. So our engineering staff has done a calculation of what we believe the cost of the total project to solve those 5,000 homes and businesses. What we do is now we bring in a third party that doesn't go out and stake in the yards, but what they do is they sit down with their engineering staff and making sure that our numbers are correct. So that way, when we go forward to look at grant opportunities, we're not just guessing from our standpoint, because we have a third party, such as we have a proposal for a grant to talk about. With that being the case, somebody else has looked at it. So we'll pay $15,000 and you would pay $15,000, and a third party has basically went and said, okay, these numbers look correct. We really haven't seen, in every one of our projects, we haven't seen any changes from those numbers because we're working with them every day on projects all over. So we know where the numbers should be, but we believe that we need to bring you kind of a third party look at it too.
So okay, I'm glad you said that, because right now, you're of the thought that there are 5,000 homes or businesses
Yes, sir.
unserved.
Yes, sir.
And so this study will confirm that independently.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the big thing they'll figure
Wow,
out is how many
5,000.
miles of fiber need to be built. That's the big cost of this is really not those 5,000 homes or the 40% of those 5,000 homes. The big cost is the cost get between house to house. And so what they do is they actually will sit down with maps and go over it again with the cost estimates we have, go against their cost estimates and what they're seeing in the industry, and then take those mileage and basically bring it together.
Yeah, and with this grant, we not only would partner with WK&T, but the state comes in, I guess for lack of better terms, the backbone. They come in, they do a portion,
Yep.
and then we partner together to do the other portion.
Yeah.
I may be
And I
jumping.
can talk specific about the one
Yeah.
grant
That's
eligible.
that's the other document, though,
trying to-
right?
Yeah.
So, but let me just mention, so the state does have it, as the judge said, October 25th is the deadline. There's approximately 313 homes that would be available for the state grant. That's not West Kentucky picking, that's not the judge picking. The state puts eligibility of where you can put their money to work. And that is in a 10-1 or less from a 477 map produced basically by the FCC. So the state takes an FCC map, looks at it and says, okay, who doesn't have service at least 10 megabits down and 1 megabit up? And they say those are the homes that we could provide for a grant. We see there's 313 homes to pass to do that. That is going to be in one of the more rural areas of the county. And that's what we see everywhere we go when they're doing 10-1. The state of Tennessee has now moved to 25-3. And we see that the state will evolve. They're really following the state of Tennessee. State of Tennessee's been doing it for almost 5 years now. We're in the 5th year of grant awards. I think the 4th year just completed. And so they're following in their footsteps a little bit. So, but of those 300, then we'll pass other homes on our way with middle mile. But we're looking at 40% of those customers hooking up right off the gate is what we're talking about 125 homes. And the total cost of that's going to be, let me see here, $2,745,000 to do that. Your portion, what we had talked about and discussed was $625,000, which is 23%. Going forward, what we'd look to do in grants, you do 25, we do 25, and we'd ask for 50% from any place we'd receive grants. This time we'd cover 27%, or we'd pay $741,000, and we'd ask the state for $1.372 million to cover those locations. And here's what I would say is we run into this a lot when we talk to the fiscal courts, or in other jurisdictions they're called different names, but people are like, that's a lot of money to spend for those homes. Well, at some point, those homes have to be served. And if there's a chance to get the state or federal government to pay 50%, we're in the best position by getting those homes covered by somebody else writing a check for that. And we have found our best grant opportunities are when we're in a partnership. Partnership shows the state that the county's involved besides a cooperative going forward, and every time we do that, we do really well with our grants. The times that we apply just on our own, which has been very rare, which is more in just in our own territory, we've been in a waiting period at times. So we would embrace the idea of working together and trying to solve this long term.
So where does the 40% figure come from? That's just historical? Okay.
That's the number we use to build our business plan.
Okay.
Because when we go out, we see that about 40%, and I think it's in a 3-year window or 2-year window, is where we build our business plan of those people being put onto the network. That's how we drive the revenue model for us. That's kind of our break-even point. We'd love to get more than that.
Yeah.
If we get less than that, then we're on the hook. You're not on the hook for anything more than what you commit to. When we write a grant, you're on the hook for only that. So if we can't operate and be efficient and bring people in at that 40%, then we're on the hook to qualify.
I cannot fathom it's 40%. It would seem like maybe it's just because we all.
So when we did Graves County.
You'd certainly think it would be 75%.
So when we did Graves County, this is a perfect example. In Graves County, we'll be more than 40%. We're not there yet. We're still building that. But we had people that are on our team that thought it would be 90%.
Yeah.
Well, there's not 90% of the homes. When you drive by homes, not 90% are out there that are connected. A lot of my phone's sitting over there. I usually hold it up. A lot of people before the pandemic believed this was enough.
Yeah.
Right? They already had this bill. They were paying for their kids to have that bill or to have that phone, so they use their phones. But then when you're in a situation where you're doing everything, all your work, all your commerce, buying stuff online, and kids doing education, they have to have some kind of device that's more than a phone. So we're seeing that evolve. Those percentages are going up. But yes, we think the same, but it's just not. Our Marshall County, I would guess we're in the 60% range, somewhere in that. Yeah, that of the we've been for the last 70 years.
Yeah.
And we never get above that. So
within that 313, are there any businesses? Can you? Within that specific area, do you know off the top of your head?
Yeah.
Just wondered.
Right now, we've been working from a desktop.
Okay.
So we'll actually, if we move forward with the grant application, we'll actually,
Go out.
we'll deploy somebody into the area to drive the roads and get letters of support and things like that from the community. Mhm.
One thing we do know is that there's a couple things. One is farming. There's a lot of farms that are in western Kentucky that have no connectivity, that are big farmers. And that's some of the reason they have no connectivity is they own so much land around their house. There's no other houses, so nobody wants to build to them.
Right.
And they're probably the most technology driven because all their new equipment that they have for all the land. So we see a lot of that in regards to farming and business. And then the pandemic changed it. The percentage of people working from home, and now that's their home office, has skyrocketed. It moved us forward 10 years, and the number of calls we receive in a day of people saying, we're working from home and I need, that has changed. That wasn't that way 2 years ago for us.
And these are, again, just to be clear, unserved, completely unserved, other than satellite or hotspot or whatever.
So the grant will not pay for areas that are above 10.1.
Okay.
This grant will not. The next grants that we see coming down the road potentially will be 25-3, and then we would talk to you about the areas that might be available for that. The idea of the partnership is that there's $29 million that has to be spent to fix the problem within the county for those 5,000 homes and businesses. And of that $29 million, what we have found, and to be honest with you, that's a smaller number than we usually start with counties. The counties that we've been working with, numbers have been in the $60 to $70 million problem because they didn't have any service from a cooperative or from anybody that provided broadband. And some of those we've whittled it down to $16 million because every time there was a grant opportunity, we partnered with the county, we won, and we took numbers off the table and continue to lower it. So this is the first step. That 2-year commitment is we work together to solve the problem of those 5,000 homes and businesses.
And that 29 million, just so I'm clear, is the total. So if we partnered with that would be split in some manner.
Yeah, and hopefully we
That's
get
the
a
total.
chunk from other people, but we'll always have to put some money at stake.
Yeah.
Each time we get a grant, I'm going to come to you and say, here, got another grant opportunity? This is how much I would need from you. We would go back and for my board, I had to get my board to approve it, and then we move forward. Have I hit most of the points? I know we've talked a lot about this in the
Yes.
past, trying to solve this problem, and I just
Yeah.
want to make sure I'm hitting the high points. And Karen, do you have any?
Yeah, and I think, a year and a half ago when Commissioner Lamb and Erica and we first visited, talking about the total cost, I mean, it was an eye-opener, but you got to start somewhere. I know I get requests
Oh, yeah.
for broadband and
Behind water, that's the #1 request that I get.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
absolutely.
sure that y'all get that too.
For sure.
I think this pandemic has showed that we rely on technology a lot. You use it in every aspect of your daily life, and it's time we get the ball rolling on it, I think.
In my
Something to
district,
look
it's not behind water.
Yeah.
It's ahead
Well,
of
y'all
water,
had
but
water-
I mean,
Y'all
it's.
had water 50 years
Yeah,
up there. too,
yeah.
ain't it?
I mean, it's the #1 that I get calls on, but.
So
I'm
right
happy you're
now,
here.
you've got the grant window right now that will close on the 25th, and then I think it's the 250 million that will come later. We don't know. I think the RFI is yet to come out.
That's right.
But DLG is still working that. But that's the bigger.
So same thing, do you think, once we get into that process, same thing as we asked folks in our community to reach out?
DLG.
Yeah, on this, or is it a different
Well, I think
process?
I think with the current projects that have been submitted, it's so competitive that reaching out,
That's
saying,
why
"Hey,
yeah.
they're going." When I was at the governor's conference, I spoke directly with the DLG representative, and they've only come out with a few awards on the current projects statewide.
Water.
Yes.
Are you talking about?
Well, it could be sewer.
Or water, well, yeah, but that, not broadband.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they're still, they're still working the RFI,
Yeah.
which is going to directly, the companies that submit to it. But there was a lot of questions from the group in the breakout session that they really didn't have an answer for because it was hot off the press, but this current monies, the window that's open, partnering with WK&T, at least we can, cost share,
Yeah.
and we get a portion that the state, if we get awarded, the state comes in with monies. The terminology, the backbone, they will build that backbone, but it is for unserved areas, and that's what's
It's huge.
interesting.
You talked about the big farmers. I can think of 6, just off the top of my head, out in the Brewers Harvey area. I mean, that's a big portion of my district, and how much that they rely on technology and they don't have it available. And, it's a big need, it really is.
And a lot of people are relying on cellular today. I don't want to make it sound, we don't want to come here and sound like, a lot of people use cellular, but we all know where it's evolving to. It's going to be more and more data being pushed across those lines, and fiber's the fastest thing that, it's the speed of light.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and not to segue into that, but just like the budget that was introduced, talking about technology, the next generation 911 legislation, they just committed in the budget. Now, it's not approved yet, but it's $10 billion. And, basically what it provides for communities is that direct access from, the center during emergency times. Now, I hope that passes. Obviously, there's...
From the state?
No, it's federal.
You're talking federal.
Federal,
Yeah, I was
yes.
thinking $10 billion.
$10 billion.
Yeah.
And, when you look at what I consider the prerequisites, we're geared for that as far as our new center. So when you start talking about broadband, I mean, and I know we've all referenced how folks call us and say, hey, when are you going to get this out here? It's a challenge, and it's got to be a cooperation from our level all the way up to the top.
Yep.
And I think the court realizes that with this window open, we don't want to lose an opportunity, and we don't want to lose monies that are there.
Just out of, and I assume so that our cities, though, are completely covered, so that if do we have any unserved where the city would be?
when I, make sure I specifically say, so the incorporated areas have a broadband.
Yeah.
So the level of broadband will be beyond the 25.3 in almost every one of your incorporated areas.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think of an incorporated area that may not, but it's small enough that I might not think of that's an incorporated town. But like Hardin, we serve Hardin, and everybody has access to fiber there. I'm just trying to think if there's any other.
That would be the small. So you're as far as incorporated, I would think so. You're good. Okay, just making sure. Okay.
And so when you look at this resolution, the 625, we had monies from the Riverport school with the sewer and the insurance. So we have the monies there. Those were the dollars that originally, asking the court to pay off the Southwest One loan. So we have the monies there to cover the $625,000. If there was a question as far as the partnership and the funds that we have to bring to the table.
So the 625, our 625 investment is not eligible to be provided by a grant, state grant money. The grant money is the 1.25, which is the 50% of the,
Yes.
right?
So what it is that the grant, Kentucky's doing 50-50 right now, correct? Are they doing more than 50-50?
No, they're doing 50-50. We've reworked the number.
Yeah, so what it is, normally what we do is we go in and say if it's a 50-50, even if it's a 60-40, we will say 50-50, because you get points if you don't ask the state for everything. But in this case, we're asking them for 50%, and then we normally would split it 25-25. This one, because we agreed on a dollar figure, we've done 23, and we've done 27%. And what that's paying for is connectivity to two anchor institutions within your community, and you're paying basically, that 625 is paying for a lease. You're not buying fiber, you're not buying connectivity to those 313 homes. You're buying connectivity to two locations within your county that are anchor institution. There may be a fire station that has no connectivity, and we work with the court to make sure those two locations are picked jointly that are within the state's area to be built out, and that's what the 625 is paying for.
Okay.
The
So-
625 is contingent upon receipt of.
Right, of the
grant.
Yes.
1.25 grant. Okay, that was,
Yeah, we do not
All right.
collect until we get that first anchor institution connected. Once that anchor institution is connected, then we get full payment, and we'll be in the middle of building everything out because that first one will be a little ways into the build-out.
okay.
So just to kind of go over this, we've got the broadband access agreement, which is what Trevor was just talking about. The Marsh County Engineering Study, that is the 30,000 where we partner 15,000 each. And then the resolution.
Same thing for the 15,000 monies wise? Okay.
It would come from, well, we can choose, we still have what I consider the original investment dollars. We had a little over $400,000 in that account. So if we want to use those monies up in addition to the, what I call the Riverport, when we dissolved the Riverport, the school monies we got from the sewer, and the insurance monies. So we do have those monies. You just have to, and if you want to say which account they're in, so that if they cite which account those monies will come from, that'd make it easier.
So,
Edward Jones is the one that we,
I guess first things first, I'll move that we execute the agreement to provide broadband service in Marshall County.
Broadband study agreement.
Study.
Or do the study agreement first, the resolution?
you want me to read that?
Can, I don't think it's.
The resolution?
The agreement. The broadband study agreement is entered into this day of 2020. It should be 2021. Nope, that's fine. Effective date, by and between Marsh County, Kentucky, hereinafter the county, or Marsh County and West Kentucky and Tennessee Telecommunication Cooperative Incorporated, hereinafter WK&T, having an office at 100 WK&T Technology Drive, Mayfield, Kentucky. Marsh County and WK&T are sometimes referred to collectively as the parties or individually as a party, whereas WK&T desires to conduct an engineering study of whether or not it is feasible to construct and operate a broadband network in Marsh County that will enable WK&T to provide upon request and where economically feasible broadband internet access service to any and every residence and business within the county, not in city limits and not in WK&T territory today. And whereas because of the rural character of Marsh County and the high cost of determining whether it is feasible to construct and operate a broadband network throughout the county, Marsh County desires to enter into this agreement for the purpose of contributing to the cost of such a study. Now, therefore, in consideration of the mutual covenants, terms, and conditions herein contained, the parties do hereby mutually covenant and agree as follows. 1, definitions. WK&T broadband network refers to fiber optic cables and related equipment used by WK&T to provide broadband internet access service and includes a network termination device, NTD, such as an optical network terminal or other similar device located on the premises of each customer who subscribes to WK&T broadband internet access service. 2, scope of agreement. This agreement sets forth the terms by which WK&T will partner with the county to determine whether it is feasible for WK&T to offer broadband internet access service throughout the county and explore all possible avenues of funding sources. WK&T will hire an engineering firm to review the cost and feasibility of providing broadband internet access service to subscribers throughout the county as calculated and designated by WK&T. The term of the agreement shall be 2 years, beginning on the effective date. During the term of the agreement, the county will not enter into a similar arrangement with another provider of internet broadband access. During this time, both parties will explore grant and other funding avenues. The Payment, the estimated cost of the engineering study is $30,000. The county will contribute $15,000, WK&T will contribute $15,000. If the cost of the study is in excess of $30,000, WK&T will contribute the excess amount. For indemnification and limitation of liability, WK&T hereby indemnifies and holds harmless the county against any and all claims, liabilities arising out of its lack of adequate regulatory or other authority or violation of any law, rule, or regulation. In all instances in which WK&T indemnifier is obligated to indemnify the county as provided for in this agreement, indemnity shall give indemnitor written notice of all claims, damages, losses, suits, and any other event which is in any way related to or assorted by indemnity as a basis for such obligation, which notice shall be given, control to the defense of such matter, and the sole right to determine the disposition of such matter. However, the indemnitor will not enter into any settlement that imposes any liability or obligation on the indemnity without the indemnity's prior written consent, and intermediate shall furnish such available information and assistance as may be required by the indemnitor to assist in disposition of such matter, and no disposition or settlement shall be made by indemnity the prior written consent of the indemnitor, which shall be unreasonably withheld, delayed, or denied. Notwithstanding any provision of this agreement to the contrary, neither party shall be liable to other for any special, incidental, indirect, punitive, or consequential damages, whether foreseeable or not, arising out of or in connection with such party's failure to perform its respective obligations or breach of its respective representations hereunder, including but not limited to damage or loss of property or equipment, loss of property, profits or revenue, cost of capital, cost of replacement services, whether arising out of transmission interruptions or problems, any interruption or degradation of service or otherwise, or claims of licenses on each performed by or failed to be performed by the other party or any other cause whatsoever, including breach of contract, breach of warranty, negligence, or strict liability. All claims with respect to which such special, incidental, indirect, punitive, or consequential damages are hereby specifically waived. Force majeure, the obligations of the parties hereto are subject to force majeure, and neither party shall be in default under this agreement if any failure or delay in performance is caused by strike or other labor problems, accident, acts of God, fire, flood, adverse weather conditions, material or facility shortages, or unavailability not resulting from such parties' failure to timely place order, therefore lack of transportation, governmental codes, ordinances, laws, rules, regulations, or restrictions, condemnation, or exercise of rights of eminent domain, war or civil disorder, acts of terrorism, labor shortages resulting from reserve or active military status or employees or contractors, or any other cause beyond the reasonable control of either party. Notice, all notices under this agreement shall be in writing and shall be deemed to have been given, if by mail, 3 days after the deposit, in the U.S. mail, certified mail, postage, prepaid, return receipt requested, if by overnight, carrier 1 day after delivery to an overnight carrier service, free, prepaid, and addressed as provided as follows. If to West Kentucky, Tennessee Communication Cooperative, WK&T Telecommunications Co-op, 100 WK&T Technology Drive, Mayfield, Kentucky. Marsh County Fiscal Court, 1101 Main Street, Benton, Kentucky, 42205. Assignment succession, neither party shall assign this agreement or its rights, license, or obligations hereunder to any third party without the express written consent of the other party, which consent shall not be unreasonably conditioned or withheld. Notwithstanding the foregoing, WK&T may assign or transfer this agreement to a legal successor to this agreement. For purposes of this agreement, the term legal successor shall include an affiliate, subsidiary, parent company, or purchaser of all subsidiary, all of WK&T assets. In the event WK&T assigns or transfers this agreement to a legal successor, it shall so notify the county within 3 days of the assignment. Any assignee for which such consent may be granted shall be subject to all terms and conditions of this agreement. This agreement and each of the parties' respective rights and obligations hereunder shall be binding upon and shall inure to the benefit of the parties hereto and each of their respective successors and permitted assigns. Governing law, the rights and obligations of the parties hereunder shall be construed in accordance with the laws of the state of Kentucky. Entire agreement, this agreement shall constitute the entire agreement between the parties hereto with respect hereto and collectively constitute the entire agreement and supersede all agreements previous to this agreement with regard hereto, whether written or oral, between WK&T and the county. This agreement may not be amended or otherwise altered except by written agreement between the parties hereto. And that's the broadband study agreement. And we'll make that date change to reflect 2021.
So there's just to make clear, because there's an agreement and a resolution for each, the 15,000 and the 625, correct? Yeah. Okay. All right. So I move we approve the agreement.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The resolution authorizing the submittal of an application to the 2021 Kentucky Broadband Deployment Fund Grant, whereas the legislative body of Marsh County, Kentucky, having committed itself to the improvement of the community that it represents, wishes to authorize West Kentucky and Tennessee Telecommunications Cooperative, Incorporated, hereinafter WK&T, to make application for the purpose of providing broadband access to an unserved areas of Marsh County. And whereas, having determined proper eligibility by the Finance Administration Cabinet's program guidelines, said governing body wishes to authorize WK&T to make applications for $1,250,000 in grant funds to implement the aforementioned improvements, and will commit funds in the amount of $625,000 to be provided by WK&T and $625,000 provided by Marsh County government. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the governing body of Marsh County, Kentucky, meeting in session on this 21st day of September 2021, that the Judge Executive of Marsh County is authorized to commit local matching funds to the proposed project and to sign all necessary assurances, agreements, and contracts required for recipients of these funds. Be it further resolved that all resolutions of the Fiscal Court of Marsh County, Kentucky, which are in conflict with this resolution, are hereby repealed. Be it further resolved that the resolution take effect from and after its passage, the public welfare requiring it. This resolution shall be spread upon the minutes of the Fiscal Court. Pursuant to the rules of the Fiscal Court, this resolution is sponsored by the following members of the Marsh County Commissioners.
I move we approve the resolution.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
So and then we need the resolution that actually goes with the study. Correct?
Resolution is to apply for the grant.
Wasn't there a resolution on the study? No? Okay. All right, sorry. There's an agreement on the
Yeah,
study.
the agreement to provide broadband services in Marsh
Which was
County.
the same thing other than
Payment.
the 15,000 versus the 625,000.
The next agreement is,
Right.
the language is almost exactly the same except.
For that.
the payment terms.
All right. I move we approve that agreement.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. If you want to wait, we should be done. I'll get these signed, and if you need copies of those, or if we need to meet.
That'd be fine. Thank you
I
very
move for a
much.
recess if you want to sign them and get him copies of them.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Anybody that would call to the court, if you could refer that to Karen and I, because we will, instead of going to DOG, what we do is we'll go meet with those. We'll get signatures, letters of support. That's part of the grant program, is that you have to have letters of support. So if you have somebody, refer them to us. We'll figure out if they're in the grant zone. If they're in the grant zone, then what we'll do is we'll actually go out and get surveys. So
Okay, so not even, because we don't know where that grant zone is. It doesn't matter where it is.
whatever it is,
Send them to
it
you.
to us, send it to us, and then we'll be engineering. We'll give it to the engineering company that the zone may move a little bit. So
Okay.
Do you want the correspondence to come by way of email, phone call?
Email might be
Email.
easiest for you, just because tracking some of us might be a challenge
Sure.
to at times, so.
Do you want me to use your email address, or is there a separate?
So you're saying, let me just make sure I understand, you're talking about the individuals within our county that are unserved, email that to you, or how do you want to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get you
I
an
don't
email.
want to blow your.
Okay,
budget.
yes.
Well, there's-
I was
You
about
get
to
me
say,
the-
you
I
know,
was thinking, like, the person reports to her that does this, and I'm thinking, she
Yeah.
don't want to wade through them either. But
Yeah.
I don't want to make it complicated.
If you can just have Karen get me an email.
That's it. We'll get you an
We'll
email.
push that out.
And then Bobby Good will be out. I assume it'll be Bobby that goes out, but no. Yeah, and team.
Yeah.
So Bill
Okay.
Bartleman, that used to be at the Paducah Sun, works for us on our grants, and then Bobby Good, former USDA for the state of Tennessee, works with us. So they'll be out in your community. If you hear that, they'll be out in the community getting letters of support.
okay.
Okay.
So if we see Bill Bartleman just walking around
Yeah.
Moore's camp or
He's not.
something.
He's not lost. Well, maybe. Maybe.
He could be.
He could be.
Yeah.
Thank you, Trevor.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Karen.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and call court back to order. Since we will wait to hear if we are awarded the grant, we'll wait to actually take an action of where the monies will come from. But the agreement for the $15,000, if the court would entertain to make a motion to pull those monies from the Edward Jones financial account
So
or
moved.
investment account.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, item F, the tax rates.
Give
Okay,
me
the
that
first
date
thing,
again before we start, sorry, if you have it. October, when's the window open, in case someone asks?
It closes the 25th.
Or closes the
Yeah.
25th?
Closes the 20, so it's open right now. They'll do the engineering study, and then they'll submit the grant application. As soon as they get me the email, we'll push that out on our
Yeah.
social media platform so that folks in the community can flood them with letters of support so that they can attach that to the grant. So,
Okay, thanks.
any questions? I'll just read this. KRS 132-487 requires all applicable taxing districts that propose to levy a tax on motor vehicles valued as January 1 to submit to the department on or before October 1st of the year preceding the assessment date. Tax rate to be levied against valuations as of the assessment date. Any district that fails to timely submit the tax rate shall receive the rate in effect for the prior year. A number of motor vehicle tax rates have been submitted to the Department of Revenue in the past, which may not have been calculated correctly. Some jurisdictions use compensating rates or calculations based upon House Bill 19. Please note that motor vehicle tax rates are not dependent upon compensating rates or the 4% limitations set forth in House Bill 44 or House Bill 19. Instead, all local taxing districts that propose to tax motor vehicles can levy a rate on motor vehicles that does not exceed the rate that could have been levied on motor vehicles by the district on January 1, 1983 assessments of motor vehicles. Thus, a local district may levy a rate up to the maximum available 1983 tax rate for motor vehicles. Contact information on establishing rates. School districts should contact the Department of Education. All other taxing jurisdictions should contact the Department of Local Government. 2022 motor vehicle and watercraft property tax rate certification. Tax rate for 2021 was 11.2 cents per $100 of assessed value. I certify that the Marsh County Fiscal Court will levy approximately property tax rate of blank cents per 100 of assessed value upon motor vehicles and watercraft for the calendar year of 2022. I think we had discussed, are we going to keep it the same?
I didn't give any historical rates on the motor vehicle rate you all have to set. It just last year was 11.2, and 11.2 is what's on the calculation from the sheet for DLG as well for this
Move
year.
we keep it the same.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Oh, you didn't print it off, did you? Okay, so for the tax rate order that has all of the real and tangible property tax values by all the taxing districts, it's on the drive. And so is the support. So we had talked about asking the districts that are subject to us approving if they try to go for or over compensating rate. All their backup that they've sent me is on the drive individually. It's in a separate folder. From my basic knowledge of the the compensating rate calculation and skimming their backup, no one has gone to the point where we need to vote specifically to allow that taxing district. We just need to put it in the order and pass our order.
Okay. So the only one that I see that is higher, I think, well, no, is Gilbertsville, is that over the?
No.
No.
I had to ask
So
this
it's the
question because I didn't know.
compensating,
Well, the fire departments
Right.
are exempt from the compensating rate by statute.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
There's two, the fire departments and the health department are two that are specifically exempt from compensating rate by statute.
I got you. Okay.
Okay, so for this order, it's the Marshall County Fiscal Court Order 2021 tax rates, an order relating to the adoption of 2021 Marshall County tax rates. Whereas the Kentucky State Revenue Cabinet has certified the Marshall County property assessments as follows, and it's listed. Now therefore, it is ordained by the Fiscal Court of Marshall County, Kentucky, Section 1, in accordance with KRS 68.245 through 68.249, there is levied for the year 2021 the general ad valorem tax per $100 assessed value on all taxable property within the jurisdiction for the general fund, and such additional tax rates for each special district or other fund as indicated, and they are listed there. You said I don't have to read them all? Or do read them all off?
Yeah,
Read the rates off, okay. The general fund, real estate rates 9.2, tangible property 9.2, health district, real estate 7.25, tangible 7.25, hospital district, real estate 3.8, tangible 4.4, library district, real estate 9.3, tangible personal 10.77. The refuse district, real estate 8.5, tangible personal 8.75, extension district, real estate 1.7, tangible personal 1.82, soil conservation 0.6% for real estate, Gilbertsville Fire District 8.5 for real estate, tangible 8.5, East Marshall Fire District, real estate 9.4, tangible 9.4, Possum Sharp Fire District 6.8 on both real estate and tangible. The Bryansburg Palmer Fire District, 10.0 for real estate and tangible. West Marshall Fire, 8% for real estate and tangible. Fair Dealing Olive, 10% for both real estate and tangible. South Marshall Fire, 9.5 for both real estate and tangible. Section 2, in accordance with KRS 132.487, there is levied for the year 2021 the tax rate of 11.2 cents per $100 of the taxable value of motor vehicle / watercraft registered in Marshall County. Section 3, in accordance with KRS 136.575, there is levied for the year 2021 the tax rate of 25 thousandths of 1% on bank deposits held by all financial institutions within the County of Marshall. Section 4, this order shall be published in the Tribune Courier newspaper by title and summary within 30 days following adoption. Section 5, this order becomes effective upon passage and publication. Order passed on this 21st day of September 2021.
Questions?
I move, we approve those tax rates, and unfortunately, I wish Lloyd was still here because I would like for the lead in bold to be that the county took their rate from 9.4 to 9.2 after it started at 9.6 a couple of years ago, so we're actually down over the last few years.
It was 9.8.
Yeah, before that, yeah.
As other counties are looking to increase taxes.
So we'll be looking for the lead to be
right.
that, but anyway, I move we approve.
Second.
Yeah, that's a lengthy motion. I can't wait to see that in the, no, it won't be. All right, well, at least I've made my point.
Move that she puts it in the record.
Yeah. Not just Lloyd, I'm talking about everybody. I hope that's the lead for anybody. Okay, sorry.
So there's a motion, second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Just as a background on Gilbertsville, the reason they went up a point was because they took a gigantic hit when Calvert annexed a bunch of their property around the dam. So
Oh, gotcha.
that was the reason. They were at 7.5. They were one of the lowest
Yeah.
in the county.
Yeah.
Transfers.
Okay. So of course I've added to these since you all have just voted to transfer some stuff. So the one on the drive only has the one set of transfers from the general fund investment bond dollars to the 911 upfit for $75,000 as requested by the department head. Then we also just decided to move from the OTA investment account with Edward Jones to the Miracle League line for $72,255.18, if that's the correct amount, for the amount of the bill. And then the third one was from the OTA investment account at Edward Jones to capital projects for $15,000 to pay for the broadband study. All three of those will need actual bank movement, and that's what's on the transfer form, the bank transfer form. But first, I think we'll have to do these separate. So the appropriation transfers are the first ones.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, so for the bank transfer portion, I've added to the bottom of your list the two we just discussed from the Edward Jones accounts to the general fund for the Miracle League and the broadband study. And then at the top, I have 4 budgeted transfers from the occupational funds that are budgeted to the general fund, the road fund, the jail fund, and the sheriff's fund via the general fund. And then the $75,000 from the general fund investment account to the 911 account for the upfit, which was just approved in the appropriation transfer.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. If you can just print that off for me with the.
You'll need to.
We, let's see, bills and claims. Is there any reason to deny payment of the bills, claims? Let the clerk record that the bills, claims are to be paid. We don't need to go into executive session. I was just talking to Jason. We've already voted on the opioid litigation, so we don't need to go into executive session. So we would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
In favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.